5, right? And then you have 5 countries, so it will look like that. C1, C2, C3, C4, and then you have another histogram. If you choose to use histogram, so you have 5 sets of histogram, 5 times 5. Now, if you choose not to use histogram, you could use line graph too. So that's up to you. Okay, the design is in your design. I mean, in your ability to design or how you want to present it. That's your creativity. So typically, what I ask students to do is, okay, so I'm getting into that. Let me show you. Remember I mentioned I do the paper now, a draft, and then you get your content of your PowerPoint from your draft. But then you have to make it not so wordy, especially people who are doing central bank. You tend to copy it from your paper into it, and then it gets very wordy. So PowerPoint slides presentation, like you see, usually they're not in full sentence, they're just in point forms. And a lot of it you could explain it, but you just have the main points up there. So like, for example, if you do GDP, this goes the same for GDP, unemployment, and what's the other one? Inflation. So right, you have slide 1, slide 2, and then you have your meat is here. So let's say you have 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this will be your conclusion. This will be your references. Okay, and this would be your, what do we call it, title page. And this would be your intro with motivation. Why are you doing this topic? Why? What for? So this 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. So you have maybe one graph. This is a recommendation, but you could do more than that. And this would be like your content, like why China is so low in terms of GDP per capita. Why Africa is so high on unemployment rate, for example. So this would be like your explanation, but this one scores a lot, so be sure you have a conclusion. So that kind of like give you some idea. So after you've done all that, right, you've done already, so yeah, feedback. Da-da-da-da. So the feedback is from the professor, from your fellow students. So come on that day because you get to write a peer review of Miss Cannon's or Mr. Walker. You get to choose one person. You're not writing all 8 people, like, so much. So you get to choose. And remember, give people a handout. I'll send out more tips and hints like what to do. So feedback. And after the feedback, so you start off with a paper draft first. Okay, and then you get your PowerPoint slides, present. Basically, to present is to give me a chance to feedback so that you could improve on your paper. Sometimes there's not much feedback because your paper is already quite good. This is your final paper, and in between here, visit writing center. Okay, that's 5% of your paper grade. And visit means not just show up and, hello, I got a paper due tomorrow, and so make appointment now. Because you all have your...
You have to do that?
That's where 5% is.
Sorry, who asked that question?
I did, like, you have to do that?
It's recommended, yes, 5%. I could tell you that, yes.
I already made an appointment, but it's not
Okay.
between those 2 times. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, if you do it like earlier than that, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, mine's like.
Because chances are
Wherever you go, then you get.
whatever recommendation or feedback is probably not major enough, unless it's rather major. Maybe it's rather major, it's just that paragraph maybe,
Okay,
So you could have them look at it again, yeah. That is 5%, yes, yeah. Because I read your abstract, I'm not saying enough, but basically about 90% of the student will need to go to the writing center to have it proofread. And then I'm also very careful with that copy and pasting thing, that 10% thing, which you have a chance to practice that coming up on Thursday. Okay, So let's get to our lecture so we could finish this because we have a lot to cover. Okay, I'm trying to remember because I dream about something about this lecture, PowerPoint, so it's very strange. I thought I stopped at some way later, but then you tell me, okay? Because I think I already covered the. Have you seen this one? These people who were here last time. Have you seen? Oh, the homework assignment. Yeah, I did. Thank you. Oh yeah. Yeah. Have y'all seen this? Is this where I stopped? You have not seen that? Okay, so I must be talking to someone. I thought I was at much. Okay, I know I talked about aggregate demand curve shifting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, have I talked about aggregate supply curve?
The line.
This is probably where I stopped, which I'm very surprised. This is where I stopped? Have I talked about aggregate supply curve at all?
Up and down.
Yeah.
Oh, I did do up and down, okay. So did I talk about expectation? Okay, I think this is probably where I stopped. Okay, this is talking about when you move along the AS curve, because this one is rather wordy. Okay. I think I'm stuck with that, because a lot of this can be incorporated into it. Okay, so do the graph with me, because that will help you. Your homework assignment is going to require you to do graph. Okay, I'll repeat this, even if I have said this before. So, be very concise. 2:15 now. Okay. Now, aggregate supply curve is upward sloping. So now remember aggregate demand curve very quickly, everybody. It's very important. Help me out. How does the aggregate demand curve shift to the right? 2 reasons. This is very important. This is in your homework. Number 1, expansionary policy. Okay? So expansionary policy has monetary and fiscal policy. If it is expansionary fiscal policy, tell me. Help me out, because again, class participation, very important, you get point, because towards the end of the semester, I'm dying to give you all the points. But if you don't show up, if you don't open your mouth, don't raise your hand, I cannot give it to you. I want you to have it, so, okay, yes, Meredith?
Government spending goes up,
Very good.
taxes comes down.
And we have expansionary monetary policy. What is it with real interest rate, up or down? Those of you who've done your assignment today?
Contractionary?
Yeah, oh, no, I'm talking about expansionary.
Goes down.
Okay, very good. So interest rate comes down. That's your expansionary fiscal or monetary policy. Now, if you still look like very green, because I've done this more than one, I think about 3-4 times. This is a gist. Remember, I keep drawing that diagram. Okay, shifting to the right means expansionary monetary policy. That means lower the real interest rate. Okay, increased government expenditure, lower tax, that's your expansionary fiscal policy. Okay, if you shift to the left, everything will be vice versa, correct? This will be contractionary, not gonna write it down, so that will be G. Now, contractionary fiscal policy, T will be up and R will be up, okay? So, and then there's a demand shocks. I talk about consumer and business sentiments after September 11. Okay, that's something to do with your consumption function. Nothing to do with your income, disposable income, but a lot to do with that autonomous consumption. Like suddenly, shock means like something that's not within the system. Like you have a shock when you got an inheritance from your uncle. $1 million to you now. Wow. Okay, consumption goes up, your autonomous consumption goes up. September 11, business sentiment, consumer sentiment go down. Everybody is depressed, upset, and say, I don't want to go traveling, I don't want to stay in the hotel, I don't want to invest. So consumption investment comes down, and because your PAE, everything goes down, and so shift to the left. Okay. So there are two sides of everything. Remember, it's always flipping the coin, head or tail. If you get one side wrong, it will be the other one, correct? 50-50, that's economics a lot of the time. So if it is not to the right, it will be to the left. If it is not, interest rate comes down, it will be going up. Okay, so aggregate supply curve depends on two things. Number one is, and it is upward sloping because it's like your supply curve. It depends on, if you shift to the right, means you have more resources. Technology, okay? You hire more labor, all that, so aggregate supply curve in general shift to the right. Okay, and there are two other things also. Now remember about this sticky price syndrome. We talk about it. We talk about menu cost. Okay, it's not so easy to change the price overnight. Unless you're doing internet retail, or yeah, we could do all the price change online. But price in general is sticky. So every time you want to change your contract, for example, your wage contract, what is that? I don't know where it is. Yeah, here it is. Long-term contracts. So, you know, a lot of time you sign a long-term contract. You don't sign just like 6 months. If you have a good real job, I mean, you sign for 5 to 10, 5 years sometimes, and maybe 3 years. That's on the demand side. Your wage contract does not change overnight because you sign a contract for 3 years, 5 years. Now, same thing, supplier like Coca-Cola company come along and say, oh yeah, we supply your goods to the grocery store, and we sign a multi-year contract, supply contract, and that does not change overnight. That stays pretty much the same. So because of that, so your aggregate supply curve is being affected by two things. Let's go back now, which we go back to that original. Yeah, I'm not going to show you all the PowerPoint slide and read line by line because I want to give you the gist. That's more important. If you understand the intuitively, you could go back and read and get the gist out of it. So there were two things. Inflation inertia. Inertia means if nothing happened, you just keep moving in the same momentum. Like if you're walking, right? I mean, you walk at a normal pace. If no one push you or anything, you're just going to walk normal. But if there's a shock, there's an earthquake or something, or someone kick you, or trip you on the purpose or something, you fall, right? So that's inertia. You keep moving in the same momentum until something happens. That word is inertia. So in other words, inflation more or less stay the same. And it's true, inflation is rather stable until there's a shock. Now we talk about two oil shocks, right? The first one in the early 70s, second one in the late 70s. Putting everything together now. So that's your inflation shock. Or inflation shock would affect the factor determines shift in AS curve. You have the inflation shock a lot of time. And then of course you have all these resources, like I say, technology goes up and your supply side resources goes up, shift to the right. If there's a war, well, September 11th is almost like a war. So if there's a war that wipes out 1/5 of the population, 20%, aggregate supply should shift to the left. Why is that? Because you got less people working now, right? And women were killed, so they couldn't give birth to baby. The opportunity cost was there. And well, look at all these buildings. They're gone. So you have to rebuild. So aggregate supply falls if there's a war, for example. In other words, the lack of resources, all that. Now, inflation shock, there are two different types of inflation shock. There's one called favorable, another one is called adverse. So this is your homework question of getting it So we're gonna talk about that shift in aggregate supply curve, but before that, let's go back to that inertia, explaining aggregate supply curve. So inertia means more or less you stay the same until there's a shock. For example, inflation expectation is 1, and then because of this long-term wages and price contracts, so your price stays more or less the same, so therefore inflation is not a new thing until there's a shock. So let's talk about this, the expectation. Okay, if you look at this diagram, what this is saying is typically on a typical normal day, if you go to, when there is a low inflation, let's say the inflation now is about 2%. And you go up to your boss and say, how about an increase? For next year, it's time to sign my new contract. How about higher wages? And the boss say, no. I say, why not? Because right now it is at the time of low inflation. Because you're negotiating at the time of low inflation, so the expectation about future inflation is going to be low. So you got low expected inflation. Because of that, your boss is not willing to do anything more. Meaning like to raise your wages, so there's a slow increase in wages and production costs. Raw materials prices, all that, are not going to go up very high. And because of that, it fulfills itself. It comes back to this Burgess circle, so you have low inflation. So this thing about expectation about inflation is when you have low inflation, when you're at the state of the economy where the inflation is low, your expectation about inflation is going to be low. And because it is going to be low, so your wages and all this other supply side contract is not going to be going up so fast. And vice versa, it's true. What's vice versa? If you're in high inflation time, the expectation is about inflation is high. So yes, the boss would say yes. So there is a faster increase in wages, yeah. And so all this thing goes together. Inflation, prices, wages, all this is about supply side values, okay? So, okay, this is all explaining long-term contract. Okay, this is a very important slide, everybody. Get it. Now, we talked about that before, so in case you don't know what I'm talking about, in fact, I had talked about it before. So this is this one right here. This is your Y star. And your Y1, you have recessionary gap, and your Y2, you have your expansionary gap. Okay, so when you're in expansionary gap, remember what happened. Let's go over that story one more time. So by now, you could do it in your dream. The economy is overheating. You got $10,000 to spare. You go to the mall, and they're not going to lower the price. Instead, they're going to jerk up the price, right? If that's the case, we would expect inflation to be higher. Okay, so that would be right here, inflation increases. And vice versa, if you're in recessionary gap, that's the time that you want to get rid of your merchandise. And what did I say? You would have to have a yard sale, right? That's my expression before. To get rid of the merchandise, you have to have a garage sale. To get rid of your merchandise, you have to lower the price. Okay, I think James, you're the one who said that last time. Lower the price, yes. So if you do that, inflation comes down. Or it doesn't increase as fast, that's the same thing, that's on recessionary gap. But what if you're in Y star? Hey, that's good, right? Because that's what we want. Every assignment we do, we have been doing and will be doing is to push towards that Y goes to Y star. We want to get rid of the bad guys. Who are the bad guys?
Inflation.
The output gap, the recessionary gap, or the expansionary gap, they're both bad. So when you're here, it doesn't mean that you have zero inflation. Get this. It means that your inflation is stable. Yeah, so you got it, right? So this is very important because everything we do from this point onward is going to come back to this same principle. So remember that because I'll keep asking you that. Your understanding about when you're in expansionary gap, there's a tendency for inflation to go up. It's very important. That will help you to do your homework problem. And the same thing right here. Okay, so let's get to the apply side. Okay, so right here, what this is saying is aggregate supply is upward sloping because you have basically what it means is at point A, you have, okay, you got 3 point ABC, so pi 1, pi 2, pi 3. Again, that's your inflation rate because you're looking at aggregate supply, aggregate demand curve now. Your inflation is on the y-axis. Right here you have output or income. Okay, so that's the case here. And let's just say expected inflation is right here, everybody. Pi 1 at point A. And this is your y star. So y1, between y1 to y star, what kind of gap do you have? Same thing. So what's the gap here between y1 and y star? Expansionary gap, yes. When you have expansionary gap, there is a tendency for inflation rate to go up. So yes, you're higher than expected inflation rate. So right here, y2 is when you experience your recessionary gap. Thank you. There is a tendency for inflation to drop. So you are below, your inflation rate is below the expected inflation rate. Now you see, point A corresponds to two things. Your pi 1 is pi E, or your expected inflation. Okay, I just didn't write it down. And y star is your potential GDP. Okay, very good. So now, how do we make the AS curve shift to the right or to the left? Okay, so we're talking about, remember, changing in available resources and technology. We talked about it. Changes in inflation expectation. If there's higher expectation, AS curve shift to the right. Lower expectation, shift to the left. Last but not all, it's your inflation shock. And that's what I'm talking about here. Okay. Now this is very important because that goes into your homework assignment. Okay, so it could shift to the right or to the left. To the right would be favorable. This is like, oh yeah, we got babies, you know. The next day you open up your door and you got babies all over the place. Miracle, yeah. I know it doesn't happen, but this is a drastic example to tell you that suddenly your workforce goes up 18 years, 16 years later. Assuming the babies all grow up to be productive workforce, AS curve shift to the right, and this is when you have war. Not just the babies die, but women and men die too, so you have to do a reconstruction to that shift to the left. And now, we're gonna talk about inflation shock. Okay, let's talk about inflation shock. Okay, there it is. There are two types of inflation shock. Because a lot of this you could read on your own. I want to emphasize the gist, the point, the graphs. Okay. Now, if it is favorable inflation, is that good? What does it mean when I say favorable? Is that good or bad? Good. Yes. Good means a smiling face. That means when you drive up to the gas station the next time, the gas price is going to be cheap, lower. Thank you. So favorable inflation shock relates to lower inflation rate. Get this, because in your homework problem, some of you will screw up and say, oh yeah, we don't know. Yes, you do. What about adverse inflation shock? Is that good or bad?
Bad.
Okay, the word adverse means bad, right? So we draw a set. That means the next time you go to the gas station and pump your gas, the gas price is going to be very high, like $5 per gallon. Woo. Let's switch to scooters. Skating board, motorcycles, bicycle, what have you. Okay, so that means inflation is coming down. Going up, excuse me. So remember, adverse inflation shock means no good. But I have had in the past students tell me, I don't know how confused they could get. They say, adverse inflation shock means, the price is going down. Okay, so don't make that mistake. So remember the up and down, you only have one chance, 50-50. Because on the test, if you put, I hope you recognize it's 50-50, because if you have 4 choices, obviously it's going to be like only 2. Okay, so this example, the adverse inflation shock were the first and second oil shock, okay, the early 70s and the late 70s. The favorable inflation shock, you don't hear about that very often because it doesn't happen very often in history. When was the last time it happened? 1986. The oil prices decreased. Whoa, that's nice. Okay, so instead of giving you all this lots of information, I want to draw out the gist because that's more important. So let's just say now, okay, we're gonna start off with this diagram. Do the diagram with me, please. So anybody remember what we call this diagram? We got 3 lines intersecting. We got the flags of England. Okay, 3 lines intersecting. This is LRAS, long run aggregate supply, because this is your aggregate demand, because it's downward sloping. Aggregate supply, because upward sloping, you got point A. This is your inflation rate, this is your income. If nothing else, you could produce this graph on your homework. You get some point also. Yeah, I could do the graph. This is the flag of England. 3 lines intersecting. What do we call point A? Okay, initial long run equilibrium. When we ask you to start off with a long run equilibrium in your homework problem, that's what it means. Start off with the flag of England, 3 lines intersecting. This is point A is your first point, initial long run equilibrium. Equilibrium, long run, because your 3 lines intersecting. So that's why we're gonna start with, and then we say something's gonna happen, we're gonna throw in scenario number 1. There's a positive demand shock. You got a call from your uncle saying you just inherited $1 million from him. Increase in government expenditure, okay. Decrease in taxes, what do we call that again? Raise your hand if you want to say that. Do study. Oh, you're looking at me. Expansionary fiscal policy. Correct? Because increase in government expenditure. So we would expect AD curve to shift to the 50-50. Flip your coin.
Right.
To the right or to the left?
Right.
To the right, okay. So if you think with me, that helps you more. Because you're going to do the homework yourself, right? AD right here. So this is your point B. And this is your Y star here, okay? Forgot to label that, that's kind of like important, so don't forget that Y star. So you see what I did? So if you have expansionary fiscal or monetary policy for that matter, that will mean your real interest rate drop. So you have point B. At point B, quickly drop this down, like that. So you got Y1, and then quickly identify what kind of output gap is this. And it is?
Expansionary.
I'm sorry?
Expansionary.
Expansionary, E, as in England. Expansionary gap. So at point B, you got expansionary gap. So that's what happened. And that point B is known as long run or short run?
Short run.
Short run equilibrium, because you only have 2 lines intersecting, that is AS and AD. Okay, so that's during the dot-com bubbles, all that. Okay, now the other way. So this is the other way, okay? If you again have a point like that, I'm not showing it all because I show you one side there. So the other one would be if you again start with point A, your long run equilibrium, and then you have a negative demand shock. You have to recognize it in your homework. Decrease in government expenditure, increase in taxes, and one more. What about monetary policy? What's with the real interest rate? Up or down?
Down.
What we want if AD curve shift to the left, right? Negative demand shock, decrease in government expenditure, increase in taxes. Tell me what's this policy in English? Yes? Contractionary? What?
Monetary policy. Monetary policy.
Talking about G and T.
Oh,
Fiscal.
fiscal.
Okay, so if it's G and T is your fiscal policy.
Yes.
So you have contractionary fiscal policy. You guys need to catch up because this is actually revision from your last chapter. You cannot afford still not knowing that. So again, my advice is, I know this is towards the end of the semester, but really, your best bet is after I go over the lecture, you read it up, do the homework quickly. If you wait till a long time later, you forget. So you need to revise it. Also, A right here. So if AD curve shift to the left, what do we call that? That's your contractionary, fiscal, and monetary policy. But what we talk about here are fiscal policy. I'm asking you, make the question very clear. I'm asking you, what about monetary policy? What kind of monetary policy would that be if AD curve shift to the left?
Contractionary.
It has to be contractionary. Flip your coin. Okay, and let me ask you one more further question. You done all your homework today. So if it is contractionary monetary policy, AD curve shift to the left, what do you have to do with real interest rate? Think first.
Raise it.
It better be very clear, going up, yes.
Raise it.
So your real interest rate, we could also throw it in, will be going up. And this is called tightening of monetary policy. That's a language that your textbook would use. That's a language that on your test it would use. If it is expansionary monetary policy, you use the word loosening monetary policy. Remember we talked about a belt? Belt, yes. That's what I mean. So right here, you're here, and that's your, oh boy, what happened to all the blue? They're not very good. After some time, they just give up. Especially the blue one, don't know why. Okay, the green behave a little bit better. All right, so we got RG here, okay. And that's your recessionary gap, basically. So now, I have asked you that question before. We're not gonna be happy right there, basically. Because in general, you're experiencing, well, especially in this case, you have recessionary gap. So you want to get back to the Y star. So there are two ways to do it. One is to shift the AD curve right up again. Or AS curve could come down, right? So either way, you accomplish the same. But be careful. If AS curve come down, you hit this point here, like point C, you're better off. Why? You have a lower inflation rate. So think about it. Whereas if you just go back up, you have a higher inflation rate. That is a trade-off. So that point is important. So think about it when you do your homework problem. Okay, so let's look at one more example. So anyway, this is all example. So this example requires now to shift the AS curve. And that's what we're gonna do next. You're gonna shift the AS curve. So again, start off with nothing else. If you do not understand the scenario, at least you could do the setup diagram, right? Again, the flag of England, you have LRAS, you have AD, and then you have your AS here, the point A. So now we're gonna move the AS curve instead of AD curve. Okay, see if I have a red one. I don't. I have to use a green one. Oh, okay, never mind. Now, remember we talked about two kinds of inflation shock. So if you move the AS curve up, is that good? Meaning that your inflation is higher. So this is a case of an adverse inflation shock. This is the one when you drive to the gas station, you saw like, oh, whoa, $5 per gallon. Okay, forget it. Let's go home, and switch to bicycle, something like that. Okay, so this is not so good because this is your adverse inflation shock. So AS curve shift up at point B. So you have the same scenario here, then you have your RG. So everything is about eliminating the output gap. By now you know, because you've done the homework 2 times already. How do we eliminate the output gap? Number one, we could let it force back down, right? So you eliminate the output gap at a lower inflation rate. Or you could shift the AD curve. What direction? Up or down? This is your AD curve, the blue one. Would you want to shift it up if you want to eliminate the output gap? Let's just say you can only use the AD curve, nothing else. You will want to shift the AD curve to the right or to the left. Maybe if I use this language, it's the same. To the right means up. To the left means down. Because see, like this, up or to the right, down or to the left.
Down.
So which one do you want? Up or down? If you want to eliminate the output gap. And you can only move one line. That's your AD curve. So which direction would you move? Well, go ahead, flip your coin and tell me.
Right.
Some say down, some say right. Well, let's look at both. So let me flip a coin. Let's see what we got. Anybody got a coin? Oh, we shouldn't gamble with economics. Let's be sure. Now, it should move up. Why? Because if you move up, watch. Da, 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 da. Dip, right there. 3 lines intersecting. So, in other words, you want to implement expansionary monetary or fiscal policy. Now, those of you say down or to the left, let me show you what happened. Okay? Because I want to make sure I do both sides. Shanice, did you say down? You did, right? Okay, let's see what happened when it is down. Okay, never mind, just call anybody, because some of you say down. So if AD curve were to shift down or to the left, watch what happened. Let's say right here. What happened to the output gap known as recessionary gap?
Got bigger.
Widening. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You say, whoa, wait, come back. Well, we did the wrong thing. Obama told us wrong. Excuse me. We have to implement expansionary monetary or fiscal policy and not the other way. Because the other way means further. And the gap is going to get wider. So it gets bigger and bigger. See, do you get the gist? In order to correct it, you have to move the AD curve to the right. That means practicing. Fill in a blank. What kind? Thank you very much. Expansionary fiscal monetary policy. I'm going to give you incentive. I already gave some people a point because you and let's do that because I think you do a little bit better if I give you incentive. Okay, so raise your hand if you want to, because otherwise we keep doing this. We keep flipping our coins, and what's the right answer? And I'm not looking at performance. I'm looking at effort. So even if you guess, that's good. At least you're guessing, you're thinking, you're participating. Okay, so what happened? Okay, so this is the other way. If the AS curve were to move down, if you start from this point A right there, and now we have expansionary gap. So the beginning point is very important. Sometimes we start off with initial long run equilibrium where you need 3 lines. But sometimes you start off with 2 lines intersecting. Your short run equilibrium. So which will only be either expansionary gap or your recessionary gap. So what is this one now? What kind of gap this is on?
Expansionary.
I'm sorry? Raise your hand, yeah, because I want to give you a point, but you gotta raise your hand. Okay, I think raise your hand first, yes?
Expansionary.
Sorry?
Expansionary.
E, right? E as in elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of echoes there. Okay, so we got our AD, we got our AS curve. Ta-da! It's right there. So it is expansionary gap. So if it is expansionary gap, let's look at the diagram. How can we correct it? Again, 2 ways. Either you move that blue line or you move that pink line. So let's go over the motion again. The exercise. Let's say if you were to move the pink line, what direction? To the left or to the right?
To the left.
Raise your hand if you want point. Come on. I think, okay, let this one pass because some of you already say to the left is correct. So you move until you hit that point. Hit that point means you're back to potential GDP. You eliminate the output gap. At a expense of a higher inflation rate. Yeah, did you see that? It's higher? Right. Okay, never mind. What about AD curve? If you were to throw out an instrument implementing a policy, what kind of policy would you want to implement? Raise your hand. This is a good one. If you were to implement a policy to correct that expansionary gap or eliminate the output gap, what kind of policy would you want to implement? It's okay if you're wrong. I'm looking at the effort. Meredith, you said it so many times. Let someone else. Yeah. You already got your point for today. Did you want to try? Destiny? Okay, yes. Contractionary policy. Give an example. What are some of the contractionary? Anybody? Raise your hand. What are some of the, come on. What are some of the example of contractionary monetary fiscal policy? Raise your hand. Okay, Galen, very good, yes.
Raised interest rate.
Raise interest rate, very good, and that's otherwise known as contractionary policy. What?
Contractionary monetary policy.
Very good. Contractionary monetary policy. When you do your homework problem, you need to talk like that. Say, okay, what's going to be next? Okay, contractionary monetary policy. Okay, correct. AD curve will shift down. How far down? Down, until you hit here, and whoa, that's good because that's at the lower inflation rate. So we want to practice number one, there are various options. Number one, contractionary monetary policy by raising the interest rate. Or, come on, one more, contractionary fiscal policy. Raise your hand. Yes?
Lower government spending.
Lower the government expenditure and, or, what do you do with tax?
Raise it.
Raise a tax. Very good. Yeah, so that's what you have to do. Okay, now let's just say you flip your coin, you got it wrong. What's the other alternative? Well, what is it? The other alternative would be if you move the, you flip a coin, you got the wrong answer, you say, okay, I got a head. The head means AD curve will have to move up. And let's see what happened if it move up. Okay, so that same thing, up, right here. And you drop that line down and the gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as I walk this way. I'm like a graph. I'm like the horizontal line. So it gets bigger and bigger, wider. Say goodbye. The potential GDP is further and further away. So that's the wrong approach. You don't have to flip your coin. You only have to ask your question, okay, A like this, B like that. So which one is it? And you got it. Because the other one is further and further away. Any questions? You think you're getting it? You have to kind of like feel it. And don't flip the coin when you do your homework problem. I'm just trying to give you some, yeah, so back there. So the same thing. Okay, let's talk about this. This is the other way. So you have expansion, you have recessionary gap right now at 0.8. Okay? And never mind about how you get there. Sometimes we give you a hint. We say move the AS curve up. Or we might say, whether it's Evans or whether it's, what's the other one? Favorable inflation shock. Let's just say your point A is right there, okay? 2 lines intersecting, your favorite pink and blue color. What do we call point A? Give me a name, anybody. So by now you would have got it, even if you're just guessing, you would have, raise your hand if you want to tell me what's point A. We have a name for it. Okay, yes.
Is it the actual output?
No. At point A, where you have 2 lines intersecting, what do you think?
Initial
Short run.
Okay, well, yeah, raise your hand. Which one? Who's saying? Who's talking? Miss Cannon, did you want to try it?
Sure. Initial equilibrium.
I'm looking for something more specific. Initial, yes, because that's our starting point, but what kind of equilibrium?
Short.
It is?
Short run.
Short run, not long run, because there are only 2 lines intersecting. You can only call it long run, equilibrium when there are 3 lines intersecting, especially that long run aggregate supply curve. The LR stands for long run. We don't just give it a name because we are pleased with that vertical line, because he's been our friend all these last few weeks. That's our potential GDP. That's a line that I think I asked James, you came out and draw that line. Remember? Okay, always remember that vertical line. Potential GDP. Okay, so yeah, so this is like, well, we're not intersecting with that long run equilibrium. So point A is your short run equilibrium. Okay, so do we have a situation? Do we or do we not? Are we happy at point A? Why not? Because you have some sort of output gap. What's that output gap? Recessionary gap. Very good. So you always go step by step, Okay, so if you have a recessionary gap, what do we have to do to correct and to eliminate, get rid of that bad guy? What do we have to do? 2 ways to do it. One is to move the AS curve down, and that's a long shot because you have to wait a while to come to have favorable inflation shock. This is like, by chance in 10 years or something. You're not going to be in this class for 10 years. Come on, believe me. No, right. Neither do I, neither do you, right. So let's do something else. Something else means moving that blue line. Okay, so now the critical question is how? Which direction do you want to move the blue line? Raise your hand if you want to say. Okay, did you raise your hand or you just scratching? You actually was raising your hand, okay. Dante, yes.
Move it to the right.
You want to move that blue line to the right, okay. We have a name for it. Name? What kind of policy? If you move the blue line to the right, yes. What kind of policy are we practicing? Expansionary policy. Give me an example. What are some of the things what are the 3 things you could do? Yes?
Raise taxes. I meant, no?
We're going home. Okay. We want to practice expansionary policy, and there are 2 types of policy, monetary and fiscal policy. If you want to practice expansionary fiscal policy, making the balloon of the economy bigger, you will have to, what do you have to do with G?
Expand it.
Raise it, right?
And then,
Some of you still not sure because you have not done your homework, some of you. You want to raise the G, yes. What about the tax?
lower it.
Say it one more time.
Lower it.
Say it one more time. You want to lower it, yes.
Lower it.
Because that's Obama coming to your house and say, hello, Destiny, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, this is India. I'm gonna lower your tax from 30% to 5%. What's your reaction? Yay, party time. And that's good because now you're gonna go out and spend more. The consumption goes up, your income goes up, all that. The balloon of the economy gets bigger. So yeah. Okay, what about interest rate? What do we have to do? Again, flip your coin. What do we have to do with interest rate?
Lower it.
Very good. I heard lower the interest rate. Thank you very much. You want to lower the interest rate so you could get up there. But there's one big problem getting up there. Yes, you correct the output gap, but there is one problem. What is that problem? At this point, how is it compared to A in terms of inflation rate? Higher! Wow! So there is a cost to be paid. Yes, we eliminate the output gap with expansionary monetary fiscal policy. All is great at the cost of, at the expense of a higher inflation rate. But nevertheless, there's nothing you could do because it's a trade-off. Either you do it or you don't do it. Now we are feeling what Obama is feeling all those years as President of the United States. Policy making is never easy. It's a trade-off. If you want to correct the unemployment rate, sometimes at the expense of higher inflation or lower inflation. Okay, so there it is. You come back there, you could use AS. Okay, now there is this thing called self-correcting economy. Okay, I want to introduce this now, and I'm going to write it down. So for this class, it's better that you take note because I'm not going to go through all the PowerPoint slides because it's so much, okay? I want to give you the gist. So please take notes. Your self-correcting mechanism. Or in the textbook, you see economy. And usually it's use AS curve to adjust. This is 5-star, important point, okay? So what this is talking about, well, you know, we have been studying Keynesian policy, right? Monetary and fiscal policy. Have you noticed that Keynesian people are very proactive? They always say, oh yeah, there's something wrong with the economy. So let's pump up the balloon of the economy. They like to blow up the balloon and let, you know, and leak out the air or injecting air. They like action. Keynesian people are like that. Proactive. Proactive means, okay, well, let's throw in expansionary monetary fiscal policy. Okay, let's throw in contractionary fiscal monetary policy. There is a group of people known as classical. And the Keynesian people call them lazy economists because they believe in such a thing called self-correcting mechanism. They say, if you get hired by Obama, do nothing. Just sit in your office. Listen to classical music. Do nothing because the economy eventually will self-correct itself. Whoa. So we're not Keynesian people. You know, like if you try to be proactive, do this, do that, sometimes you over-adjust. We talked about that before. Remember, like monetary or fiscal policy, if you try to correct too quick, too soon, when the recession is so little, like 3 months, 6 months, you could be over-correcting it. And they say in this case, it's better to do nothing. And do nothing is good. Because at the end of that 6 month, economy will self-correct. How does that theory comes about? That theory comes about from, I'm not sure if we have time to, I think we do. Okay, that's the end. So that theory comes about, I have to do my 14, and it's only 7 slides on chapter 14. Okay, so now self-correcting mechanism use AS curve to adjust. In other words, you don't have to do anything. The economy will self-correct by itself based on that important slides I told you, right? this concept here. Again, very quickly, we already talked about this earlier. If you're right here at Y2, inflation has a tendency to go up, remember? And if you're in RG, there is a tendency for inflation to come down. And if you're here, it means it's stable. So remember that, okay? RG is inflation down and EG is inflation goes up. Okay, so if you're at a point, let's see, so your point A is right here. This is your AS, this is your AD. So every time I do the graph, do it with me. So point A, you will have RG. Because your short run equilibrium is to the left of Y star. So we said it so many times already. So remember to label your diagram. Y-axis in your homework is high, inflation rate is Y. Okay, so you are in a situation like that. If you're at point A, same thing. This actually we talked about it already, without drawing the graph. So if you're at point A, you will want to practice if you move the AD curve, you want to move it to the right. That means you're practicing this same thing we talked about, expansionary monetary or fiscal policy. And of course, at that point, once you have corrected it, it's at point B. Point B, you have a higher inflation rate. But then you have corrected your economy back to Y star. Now, there is a theory that say, according to the classical people, you don't have to do anything. Doing nothing means eventually, if you're in recessionary gap, okay, there is a tendency for inflation to come down. So basically, if you're not doing anything, okay, if you're back to 80, it will come down back to point A. Okay, so let's look at one more example here. In this example, we start off with point A, 3 lines intersecting. So that's our initial long run equilibrium. So at point A, let's just say there are 2 ways to do it. There's an adverse inflation shock. This is like a homework problem. Now I'm going to ask you this question now, be very careful. So if you have adverse inflation shock, which line would you move? The blue line or the pink line? This is talking about inflation shock now.
The pink line?
The pink one is aggregate supply. Okay, very good. Then the next question is adverse inflation shock. So what direction? Adverse. Adverse means no good. No good means higher inflation rate. Okay, so be careful now. Which way do you want to move so that you have higher inflation rate? You want to move to the left,
Yeah.
correct? Because to the left means higher. To the right means lower. In terms of inflation rate, we're looking at the y-axis. Okay, so AS curve shift up, yeah, point B, and the inflation rate is higher. Instead of say 2%, it's now at 5%, right? It is higher at point B because your y-axis is inflation rate. So you're at point B right now. So in order to correct point B, what do you have to do? The 2 ways you could do it again. One is if you do nothing, since you're in recessionary gap, according to that theory, self-correcting mechanism, if you're in recessionary gap, there's a tendency for inflation to come down. So if you do nothing, AS2 will come back to AS1. But if you introduce policy, then it would have to be expansionary monetary or fiscal policy to move that blue line up. Okay, so there is a choice, and that's why instead of keep showing you graph, it's better that I explain to you that you understand intuitively. Okay, so everybody understand in point B there are, this is, there are 2 choices to get back to Y star, and that's always a goal. Every question you do is how do we eliminate the output here? So to come back there are 2 ways you could do it. If you want to be like Keynesian people, you would say do something. Move the AD curve up by practicing expansionary fiscal or monetary policy. Makes sense because we've been talking about it. Now, if you don't want to be like Keynesian people, if this recession we get turns out to be short term and you could predict it, you say, well, then we'll just do nothing. Do nothing means let the economy self-correct itself. Let this self-correcting mechanism kicks in. What does that mean? Do nothing. Because if you do nothing, when you're in recessionary gap, there is a tendency for inflation rate to come down anyway. So if you do nothing means eventually this will come down slowly until you get to that point. And then you correct it. So that's a classical theory. Classical people say do nothing. And we know that that only works if the recession is short. If it is long, you have to do something. Okay, so that's basically is what this is talking about. So yeah, if you throw in the aggregate demand curve to the right, like practicing expansionary monetary or fiscal policy, you're at point C. At point C, the problem is you have a higher inflation rate. That's something we'll ask you to compare, like, what about if you compare point B to point C? Yes, you correct the output gap. The output gap comes down. Well, yeah, you eliminate it from 10,000 to 15,000. You know, your income goes up because it's moving to the right, but your inflation rate goes up also. Okay. Okay, I think this one is very similar. The last slide is on the income. Not income, the tax. Now remember that when we talk about tax rate earlier, so the example I was trying to get with India, if you remember I talked about Obama lowering the tax rate, right? So now tax rate would affect your fiscal policy. So it affects the demand side, aggregate demand curve. But it also affects your LRAS. So if you have the graph, this is the last graph I'll draw. You can draw it with me. So if you have your LRAS like that, and then you have a AD curve, so let's call this point A. Okay, so then we are going to, scenario is if you're going to have a tax increase. Okay. Tax reduction. And we know that that's your gesture of practicing a tool that you call expansionary fiscal policy. That's exactly the same example I did with India a while ago, right? So AD curve shift to the right, you have expansionary fiscal policy. Now, the tax rate also eventually potentially improve people's income and business income. So it also shifts the LRAS curve to the right. Both. So they both shift simultaneously. At the end, you're at point B. So we ask you this question at point B, we know that income definitely goes up from the diagram. But we do not know about the inflation rate, whether it will go up or down, because that depends on the relative standings between point A and B. And it looks like if AD curve effects is higher or larger, it will move more to the right than it intersect at a higher inflation rate. But if this one is more, the effect or the impact is larger, and you shift more vertical line to the right, it will intersect here, then your inflation rate will be lower. So finally, my last graph, or last slide, for the whole semester really. Macroeconomic policy, it works best with accurate knowledge of the current economic condition, the knowledge of the future path of the economy without policy. So you have to use a little bit of policy implementation. Okay, we do have to know what exactly is that potential output, what is that number, and how do we implement fiscal and monetary policy, and knowledge of how and when the economy will respond to policy change. Okay, with that, remember, you need to read the book before you do the homework problem. But a lot of this is in the graph. So that is why I spend so much time explaining